Good morning, everyone. I trust that you are all keeping well. Good morning, in particular, we say to Clarice, to Peter, to Caroline, Rachel, and Richard. Thank you for your good wishes on the chat. This morning's learning is dedicated once again in memory of those that have Yortzeit for today, as well as those that are in their year. We wish the families long life. It's also Schutz Rafur Shalema for Elizabeth Bat Maisha and Rivka Bas Esther, Abram Ben Binyamin, Besoch Shah Chayle Israel. They should all have Rafur Shalema. There is a fascinating idea in relation to the vestments, the clothes that the Kohen Gadol wore, the high priest. We know in this week's parsha it discusses about the various clothing that the high priest wore. Very often the question is asked, is it the man that makes the clothes, or is it the clothes that make the man? Well, a Kohen Gadol, a high priest, had to be worthy of wearing the clothes. He had to be high priest material, but nonetheless, once the Kohen Gadol wore those clothes, then those clothes took on a special sanctity and holiness. There is one aspect, it seems rather insignificant, innocuous, about the high priest's dress. Very often, it's the emphasis and focus is around the headband that he wore, or the breastplate that he wore with the Urim v'Tumim. But there is one aspect that I want to focus on, which often is ignored, and that is that at the hem of the garment that he wore, the bottom of the robe, there were bells, pomegranates and bells. Now the question is obvious. Bells, we know their purpose is to make noise, to make sound. Why is it that the high priest would need bells to be worn when he was entering into the Holy of Holies? After all, he was entering, there was nobody else there except God. And our sages tell us of blessed memory that the idea is that when a person enters somebody else's space, then they have to make them aware that they are entering. There has to be that respect, that sniut, that modesty. And part of modesty is that I don't just make a loud noise and come in without being invited. I have to first knock. There has to be that modesty between people. And if it's also between people, then how much more so it's between us and God. And therefore, the high priest, on the one hand, was demonstrating when he came in that he was showing derech eretz, respect, consideration, before he walked into the presence of God. Conversely, and it may seem like a complete contradiction, friends, the Rav Gifter, it says an exquisite idea that always stayed with me. What do the bells represent? The bells represent a noise, a reverberation. When did that noise take place? Says Rav Gifter, it's when the Kohen Gadol moved. Any action that he did would set off the bells. And he said, and I believe it's based on the Nefesh HaChaim, Rav Chaim Volozhin, that when the Kohen Gadol moved, every action of his made an impact. It made a noise. And so it is that we are meant in a similar guise to the high priest, that our every action, our every move should be filled with the same sanctity, that it should have that impact, not just in this world. But Rav Chaim Volozhin says that every action that we have, it has a ripple effect all the way through the seven worlds, all the way up to the Kisei HaKavod, to the throne of glory of the Almighty. And that is for us to recognize that everything that we do matters. We count. Our actions make a difference. Now that seems the exact opposite of what I just said, doesn't it, friends? The first part I was saying is that there has to be this sneer, this modesty, the fact that it's not about me, it's about somebody else, and being in consideration and stepping back from putting myself at the center of whatever's going on. On the other hand, there seems to be drawing attention to ourselves. Isn't that a contradiction? I don't think it is. I think they are two halves of the same coin. Let me explain. You see, there are two ways that a person can interact in this world. There are two ways that each and every one of us, and each of you, can perform any type of deed, any type of action. It could be because that it's a bit of the ego is present. It's about making a splash, making an impact, drawing attention to oneself, getting noticed, getting in the headlines, or it can be the exact opposite. It can be for purely the best of intentions and motives, the most altruistic of intentions. I'm giving charity not to get my name up in on a billboard or in lights, or to be recognized by the public, but it's because I want to make a difference. I want to do the right thing. I want to act more godly. And therefore, it's not about me. It's about God. And therefore, that is why there is that sneers, that modesty. Because when I stand before God, when a Kohen Gadol enters the Holy of Holies, it's all not about me, it's about the we. I think it's a profound idea, the way these two fit together so beautifully. And it's a fantastic idea for each and every one of us to take into our lives. The idea that we have to, on the one hand, believe in ourselves, believe that our every move makes a difference. The cosmic camera is running and everything that we do counts. But conversely, we have to make sure and remember constantly that when I am doing something, it's not about me. It's not about my ego. It's not about myself, but it's about serving God, about what difference I can make to the world. And if we are able to keep those two thoughts in our minds, then we are going to have a profound influence and impact, not just on those around us, but on the world at large. So please God, we wish everyone well, good health and happiness, and we should only have good things. Let me just see if I can find quickly the sheets with the Psalm of the day, which we will now recite. I know Rachel always reminds me. Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even as I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for length of days. Memorial prayer. Adon Olamim zechois nishmais. Shalchu li olamam manu barachamim nazmim b'tzeitzek anapech li olamim b'tzeitzek zechois nishmasam. V'yanucha mishkuvasam b'shalom v'namar amen. Refuah Shalema prayer for all those that are unwell. Mi sheberach avsein rabin so Yaakov Moshe Aaron David Shlomo Yivarech Rapes Achelim. Bavu Shana Mispalim Bavu Rambus Zacharosh Baruch Hu Yimale Rach Malehim Lachman Chasam Vishlach Lem Refuah Shalema Shemaim Lachol Ben Besoch Shach Yisrael Refuah Tzanefesh Refuah Sakov Hashtabakas Magarev and Amar Amen. So each and every one of you, and good morning to those that are still joining us, to Michael, to Eitan, to Paul, to Richard, to Rachel, to Caroline, Peter, Clarice, and everyone else, and so many more around the world that are joining us this morning and or later on Catch Up TV. We say to them, remember that we, in our day and age, we are all a high priest in a sense. When we go into our homes, it's the Holy of Holies. And therefore the idea is that we should be able to make a difference, make a unique contribution to the lives of ourselves and the lives of others. Wishing everyone well. Have a great day. Keep safe, keep well. Please God, we'll see you tomorrow.